The FBI, we've talked a lot about them on this channel, usually in a little bit of a unhappy way. We've been seeing what the FBI has been doing relating to the January 6th Capitol Hill attacks, riots, protests, just whatever you want to call them. And we sort of poked fun at them a little bit for really focusing on people who kind of didn't commit the most serious of crimes. Kind of laughed at when they were gathering the Capitol Hill Lego set, maybe hinting that this was being used to facilitate the seizure of the American country. Or maybe it was just a souvenir for the guy's kids, who knows. But the FBI made a big deal about it, and many other things. If you go on their Twitter account every day, hey, we got to find more of the grandmas who were wandering around the Capitol building. They're very, very interested in making sure that all of the January 6th defendants are brought to justice. But that same vigor, that same amount of energy that you see on this current era was kind of missing some time ago. You may recall a case involving guy named Nassar, Larry Nassar. He was being investigated for some time for molesting young women. The FBI got involved and they did basically nothing about it for a long time. Now, the Office of the Inspector General from the Department of Justice, they did an independent review of the FBI's investigation of a guy named Larry Nassar, and they've decided that the FBI is basically largely incompetent. So we're going to go through this. We're going to get a headline here from New York Times. The Inspector General says that the FBI botched the investigation, the Nassar abuse investigation. You may remember the Tokyo Olympics. The FBI was delayed by more than a year in ramping up its investigation, and this allowed Mr. Nassar to abuse more victims. Plenty of time because the FBI was just sort of putzing around. Justice Department Inspector General released a long-awaited report on Wednesday, criticized the FBI's handling of the sexual abuse case involving Lawrence G. Nassar, the former doctor for the USA Gymnastics national team and Michigan State sports. It led to Mr. Nassar's continued abuse of girls and women. So he's serving what amounts to life in prison right now. He's been accused of abusing hundreds of female patients, hundreds, including the Olympic champion Simone Biles and a majority of the last two United States women Olympic gymnastics teams under the guise of medical treatment. So you may remember this story, right? He was doing, awful things to women. And, well, we got some more background here. Let's see what's going on. The report cited several court documents, said that 70 or more young athletes had been sexually abused in 2015 after USA Gymnastics first reported on the allegations to the FBI's office. Then August 2016, Michigan State University also received a separate complaint. So USA Gymnastics, they filed a report. Michigan State filed a report. John Manley, a lawyer for the victim, said the number is likely even higher, about 120 patients, including one as young as 8 years old. Oh my goodness. This is a devastating indictment of the FBI and the Department of Justice, and the multiple agents covered up Nassar's abuse and child molestation. They failed these women. They failed these families. No one seems to give a damn about these little girls. The inspector's report said that FBI officials in the Indianapolis field office failed to respond to the allegations with the utmost seriousness and urgency that they deserved, says the report. The women are not happy about this, of course. They say that this is not over. They demand action after they've learned how badly the FBI botched this. The newly released investigation shows that they are absolutely right. They feel so much betrayal. They say that the FBI is massively failing survivors of more than 120. Okay, let's go into the actual document itself. It's a big article. It's a big report, 119 pages. You can see it was released very recently, July 2021. Investigation and review of the FBI's handling of the allegations against Lawrence Gerard Nassar. Now, it's a big document, 119 pages, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Let's poke through the table of contents. We have a quick introduction. We have a background, significant entities and individuals. They take a look at the law, which is not really that interesting. The ethics of laws and different rules when dealing with all of these things. So they're establishing what the rules are. FBI policies. Again, what are the policies? So remember what we talk about here when we do legal analyses. This is kind of a big version of this, but we talk about the rule called IRAC. You learn this in law school. IRAC, issue, rule, application, or analysis, and then a conclusion. You have to identify what the issue is. Here, what's the issue? Well, this guy, Nassar, molested 120 women. and it was reported to the FBI. So the question is, the real issue, did the FBI properly investigate the case? And if so, great. If not, what can they do to improve? And so in order to determine what the answer to that question is, to identify how we solve that issue, we have to know what the rules are. IRAC, issue, rule. What are the rules? Well, they're telling us here. Ethics, laws, and policies, FBI policies, handling evidence, FBI's crimes against children policies, victims' rights, all of that stuff, federal law, right? Timeline is where we start to get into some fact-finding and some analysis. So we get down here, the timeline of key events. We also see now that they're fleshing out more of that. We have a field office meeting, July 2015. We have another meeting, July 28th. We contact the USAO for the Southern District of Indiana, interviews with gymnasts 1, 2, and 3. The decision to conduct the interview telephonically, the agent's recollections of the interview, right? So the 3 gymnasts report this, and we're asking, what did the FBI agents even do? What are they doing there? Why was the interview done on the phone? Why did they come in? Why didn't you document this timely? You conducted an interview. Why didn't you document it? Gymnast recollection, maybe that wasn't written down. So we see what's happening there. Then we go down, we see the Indianapolis field office fails to refer the allegations or even maintain the records. So okay. Thanks gymnasts for coming in here. Sorry that you guys got raped and molested by this terrible person, but we're not even going to make notes of the interview, and we're also not even going to refer the allegations out to local law enforcement so that they can do anything about it. Nothing happens. FBI Portland resident receives an allegation about potential abuse. LA field office is notified by USA Gymnastics. Sexual abuse of patients by Nassar continues, page 57. We have a different law enforcement agency that goes and executes a search warrant of his residence, resulting in the seizure of large amounts of child pornography. I can't believe I said that on YouTube, but this is an illegal document. And notifies the FBI Lansing resident agency. FBI communications in 2015 and 16 regarding the investigation, and the list just goes on and on. FBI communicates with Penny about news stories about the sexual assault allegations. Media inquiries begin early 2017. Let's see, we've got events in 2018, Abbott's misleading statements, Nassar's prosecution, conviction, and sentencings. All happens here. Then we get into the analysis from the OIG, which of course is the Office of Inspector General. And let's take a look at how this wraps up. We have the FBI's response. We have some conclusions and recommendations here. And this is where we wrap up. The OIG, Office of Inspector General, found that the senior officials in the office failed to respond to the allegations. The allegations deserved and required the utmost seriousness and urgency. The FBI made numerous and fundamental errors when they did respond to them. They failed to notify state and local authorities of the allegations or take any other steps to mitigate the ongoing threat posed by Nassar. Moreover, when it came under scrutiny from the public, FBI headquarters did not take responsibility for their failures. They punted it. Instead, they provided incomplete and inaccurate information in response to internal inquiries. They're covering up their own malfeasance, which is way worse than the original error, right? I understand people make mistakes. This is a gross negligence to make a mistake of this size. So I'm not talking about this, right? If you're the FBI agents in Indianapolis and you have 3 gymnasts come in and say, hey, we're being raped by this guy. And you go, okay, well, we don't need to even make notes about this. And also, we're not going to refer it to local prosecutors either. So bye. Thanks for coming by. Good luck. Totally inappropriate. That's grossly negligent in my opinion. But I also understand that sometimes people make mistakes. Happens all the time. I make mistakes regularly, but I don't cover them up. Oh, sorry about that, right? Let me fix that. Definitely stepped in it there, didn't I? When law enforcement officials do this, it is beyond reprehensible, because you have to remember here that they have an unfair advantage. They have total access to all of the information that exists in everything. Okay, we don't have any of that. If they have all the power, this government body can decide whether to seek justice on behalf of those women or not. There's nowhere else for them to go. They go to the government. If the government's not going to do anything about it, they can't go hire a private prosecutor to go prosecute this guy. That's it. So they have a sacred duty to listen to those things and treat them seriously. They didn't do it. And then when they got in trouble for it, they covered it up. Wow. All right. The OIG also found that while the FBI Los Angeles office appreciated the seriousness of the allegations and took numerous steps to investigate it, they interviewed multiple gymnasts and conducted some interviews. This was in sharp contrast to the FBI failures in Indianapolis. The office did not expeditiously notify local law enforcement or take any efforts to mitigate the information. Also found that the LA office appreciated the seriousness. Let's see. In addition, Indianapolis field office, most basic failures found that the office violated numerous FBI policies. Specifically, they failed to formally document the July 28th meeting with USA Gymnastics during which Nassar allegations were first received. Very important meeting, should have been documented. Failed to properly handle and document receipt and show a review of a thumb drive containing videos and PowerPoint slides from Nassar. Failed to document the September 2 witnesses interviews alleging sexual assault by Nassar until after a year. Failed to transfer the Nassar allegations to the Lansing resident agency. List goes on. These failures contributed to a delay of over a year. Local authorities could have been investigating earlier. They could have stopped the sexual assaults of over 100 victims and the possession of child pornography. In addition, we conclude that Indianapolis ultimately drafted an interview summary 17 months after the interview of Gymnast 1, over a year and a half later, that contained materially false statements and omitted material information. We further conclude that the SSA, in an effort to minimize or excuse his errors, were materially false statements made elsewhere. In addition, we conclude poor judgment. They breached federal ethics rules, no prior authorization to do so, communicated with different people about a job opportunity. Abbott should have known. Okay, so very, very problematic stuff, all coming out of the FBI. And what's going to happen? Anything? What's going to happen with the FBI? We got a 119-page report from the OIG. Are these agents going to get fired? Are we going to know their names? Are they going to be charged with a crime or something for gross negligence, for failing to do their job? Are they going to be fired? Are they going to be reprimanded? Are they going to be disciplined? Probably not. All right, let's see what's going on. Some questions from watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Farmer's Daughter is here, says, Robert, does it seem to you that this administration doesn't care about women unless they can use them for their political advantage, like transgender athletes or women in political positions of power? Pathetic. Farmer's Daughter 4. Yeah, Joe Biden has kind of been consistent in that, right? He specifically said that he wanted a woman vice president, and I think he said an African-American vice president also. And we do see a lot of females in the Biden administration. I don't have any problem with that, unless they're being taken advantage of for their gender, right? That might be kind of offensive if you're just like, I'm a woman and you gave me that job because you need a woman in that position. If I were a woman, I might take issue with that. I happen to be a man, and if somebody gave me a job just because I happen to be a man, that would be problematic. If they said, well, you're a very, capable man and you've got a good skill set, being a man is a bonus, I wouldn't have any problems with that, which is probably what's happening in the Biden administration, but I don't know. All right, good question. Thunder7 says, pedophiles protect other pedophiles. In other words, the FBI only investigate what the upper echelon order them to do, like Epstein, Sandusky. AG Barr's father hired Epstein to work as a teacher with no credentials. The lever of cover-up of these pedos reach the very top of government. Well, certainly is percolating in the FBI. They didn't do anything about that. Nadarb says, the FBI responded to the IG report and said the FBI has confirmed that those responsible for the misconduct and of trust no longer work FBI matters. Oh, so they did respond. No longer work FBI matters. What does that mean? Does it mean they still work for the FBI government or just on FBI matters? They did not say that they were fired. So probably because they weren't. It makes me so mad. All right, last one coming in from Hyper Patriot says, Rob, this is by no way a surprise that the FBI covered up child crimes. Just research the Franklin files, Epstein, Hunter Biden's laptop. The FBI is more worried about arresting people because of text messages they sent regarding 1-6. Abolish the FBI. Yeah, and that's brilliant, right? Absolutely right. We've covered cases like that. We covered a case where a guy got into an assault charge the day after January 6th, on January 7th, the next day, charged with a Capitol Hill crime. Somebody had ammunition in their apartment. They found the person because of text messages, and then they charged him with being a prohibited possessor. He's a prior felon, can't have ammunition. That's the crime. It's not a trespass or a wrecking America insurrection crime. It's a trespass that they got off of a text message. Okay. Good job, everybody over there. Well done. Way to save American security. Panda's in the house, says, the FBI Illinois sounds bot. First question, farmer daughter, you forgot sniffing hair. Rob, I would hire you for being a man. We need more male panda nannies. Oh my gosh. I would happily be a panda nanny. Okay, look, first of all, I think I'd be a pretty damn good panda nanny. All right. Pretty good. I'm very, very good with animals. I happen to love animals. It's kind of a thing. I don't actually have animals, but I just kind of like them. And I think a panda, man, I'd really enjoy kind of getting some good cuddle time in with that panda. All right. We got Osak says, Rob, I'm finding it hard to give an S about what the FBI does wrong or illegal. After 9/11, the FBI went to war on the U.S. people and here in Arizona. Now I'm implying that this happened to me, but a friend of mine was investigated for no reason, but civil rights went out the door along with other rights. I saw one try to help, so then it might be hard for some of us to care now. Just saying. Yeah. So I understand your perspective there. I think the reason to care about it is so that it stops. Right? If they're going to continue to do that and sort of, I guess, not investigate child abuse crimes and all sorts of stuff like that, then we kind of want that to change, don't we? Or maybe we don't want or need an FBI anymore. Like if they're not going to do investigations, then what the hell do we need a federal bureau of anything for? All right. Miss Lucky's here. Says Portland police officers who lie in an internal investigation get fired. Yeah, that's as they should, right? Absolutely should. If you're going to make a mistake, okay, you own it. Everybody makes mistakes. If you're going to make a mistake and then lie about it, gotta go. That's two wrongs. Gotta go. Sorry. Good to see you, Miss Lucky. We got Carm here. Says, I think hiring anyone based off of race or gender is racist and sexist. I think that's a good point. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you for that. We got TOS Forever says, think if the FBI has refused to obey the Constitution, why do they think DC Interstate Police will be better? Yeah. I think that they don't necessarily mind what the FBI is doing. I think that the bureaucrats in charge, okay, we all think we live in this beautiful democracy where there's no corruption and there's no political prosecutions, or nobody in power would ever use the power of the government to, I don't know, go and say, use the IRS to come down on conservative groups to make sure that they get audits, but the liberal groups don't, right? Nobody would ever do that. Of course not. So if it's possible that the bureaucrats in charge will use these entities for furthering their political ends, which I think it is possible, and they have total power and they have a lot of motivation and it serves their ends, why wouldn't they use them that way? It's almost required. You come in, you change the Justice Department policies. Joe Biden comes in, changes them from whatever Trump was doing back over to gun violence now, right? You got to do something. And so they're going to do things that serve them and maintain their grasp on power. If DC can exercise that from DC, using the Capitol Hill Police, using the FBI, using feds, they'll do that because that gives them more power and more control. Great question. That is the last one from TOS Forever. Let's say goodbye to a few people over in the chat at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Joe Snow's still there. 3 Girlies is over here. Gert John's in the house. We got one Florida man is here. Good to see you. Arctuarians, Relic Hunters here. And the list goes on and on. Good stuff over there. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com if you do want to support the show. And before we wrap up and get out of here, quick welcome to a few new people who signed up. I apologize. I forgot to update this today, so I will do that tomorrow. But we have Curious ENGG is in the house. Boom, signed up. We have Texas Flat Roof Man signed up for the year. One Florida Man is here. Freedom Lives. Angela B, 66. And you Ramirez, along with George, Klaus, everybody joined up over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. This is the address if you want to go check that out. $5 a month, $50 a month, $50 a year annually. A lot of good stuff that's happening over there. I want to invite you to be a part of our monthly locals meetup. This is taking place via Zoom in about 9 days. Wow, that's going to be fun. July 24, 2021 at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sign up at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And as the date gets nearer, I will go ahead and post the registration form. If you're already registered, you don't need to do anything. We'll see you there. But if you want to join, it is a free thing that we do. There's a lot of other good stuff over there. Free copy of my book. You can download a PDF. We've got a lot of promo codes for some of my informational offerings. And so it's a good place to be. And every time that we sort of, post something there, or we have a new person sign up, it's like, it's one brick that we're just building in a separate platform. And this thing's going to take time. But, MySpace was a thing until it wasn't. We're contributing to the new world. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. All right. So all of that over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. That, my friends, is it for me for the day. And I want to thank you so much for being here. Thanks for indulging me at the start of the show so that I could update you on what happened with YouTube. And hopefully we're sort of in their good graces for the foreseeable future. And we're going to keep plugging along. I appreciate all the ideas. Thank you for those of you who contributed to the show today. I hope you're back here tomorrow because we're going to have more to get into. And it's going to take place at the same place, same time, same location, 4 p.m. Arizona time, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. on that East Coast for that one Florida man. Everybody else, have a tremendous evening. Sleep well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and we've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona. Things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona, we have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing, but you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, I want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.